That's all the more reason to hurry.
I know. Sounds like there's a storm of ruin.
Hi guys, it's Owen and Lynn of Van Trekking Lifestyle. Maggie's right over there, but she's probably not going to be in this video. And we're sitting here beside of a little lake all by ourselves on the MCCARTHY Highway. And we've had so many questions about our trip so far, and you hate these kind of videos.
I do hate these kind of videos of people just talking.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so if you hate it too, tell us and we'll quit doing these. But we thought it would be a good way to share with you how things have gone so far on our trip and to try to answer as many of the questions as we can. So with that in mind, let's get into it. How's the van done on this trip? How do you think it's done?
I think it's been great. I think it's been a really good way to travel,
Yeah,
especially in Alaska.
It's perfect, isn't it?
It has been.
If you could see where we are right now, we backed down into a little spot off the MCCARTHY Highway that you could not get a camper into it. Maybe a truck camper could, but everywhere we've gone. The last 3 nights we have stealth camped on the street in Valdez. We've been everywhere in it. There have been some times we wish we'd had 4-wheel drive, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So, I guess in conclusion, the van has been everything we hoped it would be for something like this. What kind of miles per gallon are you getting? Well, I'll pull up the app and tell you exactly. Since we left our driveway, we have averaged 13.92 miles per gallon. That includes some pretty rough roads all the way up to the end of the Dalton Highway in the Arctic Circle and the Arctic Ocean. But typically on the road we get around 14.5 to 15. I'm really grinning if we get over 15, but it's usually 14.5 to 15. And I don't know how much you know about Alaska, but there's a lot of mountains, and so you're climbing mountains all the time.
And sometimes we actually run the engine just to top off our batteries also in the morning. So, I mean, and that hurts your gas mileage.
So we've, just so I'll cover this while we're here, since we left our driveway so far, we're about almost halfway through our trip, not quite. We've covered 7,457 miles.
Wow.
Jeez. A lot of it's like today in the MCCARTHY Highway. We would be doing good to average 20 miles per hour coming up here. We thought we were going to make it to the end of it, and we ended up just pulling off and finding a little place like this to sleep. So that's good. The highest gas price that we paid so far
was on the Dalton.
$5.50 per gallon at Coldfoot. It was even cheaper at Dead Horse, which is at the very end of that, which we were surprised about that. And it was close to being that expensive a couple of times in Canada. Have we worried about running out of gas?
No,
never.
There's always places to fill up with gas, and we try to be very aware of how far we're going that day and what our range is. And then, you know, even if we have a half a tank or 3/4 of a tank, and it's going to be the last gas station for a while, we always
top off. And we've done that several times.
Just to be on the safe side.
We have gotten down to where we had 70 miles to go, but we knew exactly where the gas station was, and we had talked to someone who knew that it was open and had gas. But we didn't have a choice. We were on the Dalton, and that's what we had to do. So. And
we were traveling with somebody that was carrying extra gas too.
Yeah.
So that made us feel a little
Nick.
better.
We were glad you had gas. That's just the other question too. Do you have an extra gas can hidden somewhere? No, we don't. We don't carry an extra gas can with us at any time. We're waving at people driving by on the MCCARTHY. And most people say they don't need it. We were kind of up in the air. We just decided to not bring one. And I think that was the right choice.
Yeah, I think so.
The extra weight, we've been fine. So what has gone wrong with the van? Someone asked that question. What has gone wrong? I guess one small thing probably happened on the Dalton, but these vans are very famous for the black tank handle, which is just screwed in. We may get rain. But the black tank handle, we got somewhere, and it had twisted off. So we don't have a handle to get that off now. I'm using a pair of pliers to get it off every time we dump the black tanks. On that same trip, somehow the sink in the bathroom came on. We had a full tank of fresh water. We stopped at a stop we had 0 fresh water and a full black tank.
So what did we learn from that?
Every time we travel now, we turn, one of the things you do, you turn the water pump on.
Right. So just to be on the safe side.
And we did that here because this is a really rocky
especially
road.
on a bumpy road. Now, if it's a good road, sometimes we don't do that.
The other major thing that's happened to us is one of the rails, the little red pieces on the rails from Summit on our model of van doesn't have the piece that's got the ridges, and so they're prone to breaking. And I guess the Dalton broke one of those as well, because we had one of the rails that was holding the roof rack, and we'll get into that in a minute. It broke, and I mean it literally broke in half. But we took some Gorilla super glue, put it back together, and then we moved that rail to something that's not holding very much, and we've continued on to our trip. So that was it. And Nick said I get some kind of special t-shirt for that, because we're out in the middle of nowhere working on the van. That's pretty cool. So.
And you brought an extra. It also
oh yeah,
messed up our solar panel.
It pulled the cable out of the solar, and it broke one of the prongs when it did that, when the rail broke. But luckily I had, like some kind of Boy Scout, traveled with an extra solar panel cable. Who does that? That was
you do.
I guess I do. But we still have all of our solar and everything's good.
Yeah.
That sound is the sound of folks flying by on the MCCARTHY. So that's all the things that have gone wrong. Our favorite places. We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
All of Alaska. When we get back, we'll try to put together our top 20 list of places that if we were coming here, we wouldn't miss going. But right now we have to say our favorite place every night is the place that we are. I can't say how many times we've said, this is the best.
Yeah, I know it.
This is the best.
He does that every time we find a place like this.
I mean, but look at this. Look where we are. We're
it
out,
is beautiful.
Mountains all around us on all 4 sides, and we're the only ones sitting on this little lake.
Yeah.
If that's your cup of tea, then that's pretty cool. I don't know why it wouldn't be your cup of tea if you are interested in this kind of trip, but it's really cool.
It's been awesome.
You've been doing a lot of boondocking instead of campgrounds. Before you did state campgrounds in Florida. Now you're boondocking all the time. What's up with that?
There's just so many places to boondock in Alaska. I mean, there's really not that many in Florida or in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's an overabundance of
free
spots.
places to stay.
I mean, why not take advantage of that? We're definitely set up with the van to be able to do that.
We're in a national park right now, and just right off of the road, not only is this a free place, the fire department set up a fire ring right down here. They even have a bucket that you're supposed to use to put the fires out if you do create a campfire. So they actually encourage you to be here, and it's awesome. I mean, we're by ourselves, and we found lots of places like that. And in the future, you're going to see many more boondocking spots on our videos. In fact, there's only one time since the last video that we just did that we spent one night at a campground. We're at 33 days in a row now that we haven't paid for a campsite.
That's pretty awesome.
That is.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of money to spend on
other things,
you know, gas and food and souvenirs and other things. So that's why iOVERLANDER has become our favorite app.
It has on finding campsites, free campsites, and part of that, dump stations and water. We have to find those places also.
So yeah, if you're at a campsite or campground, you just dump either at their dump station or at your site. But when you're doing this kind of camping, you have to know where you're going to get fresh water every 3 or 4 days and how you're going to dump every 3 or 4 days.
And iOVERLANDER helps with that too.
Yeah, so that's cool. All right, let's see. What books and maps and apps do you use? Well, the biggest one, milepost.
Milepost, but we use that mostly on the Alaska Highway.
Yeah.
We probably need to get it out and use it, but we haven't.
But here we use iOVERLANDER.
Right.
There's so many like us that have gone ahead of us that have put places out here like this. This is listed on iOVERLANDER as a prime spot to stop, but there's only enough room for one person, and we happen to be the one person that got it tonight. That's probably all we've used.
Google Maps. We always use Google Maps to get us places.
And then you always go into the visitor center and grab some kind of visitor map and information. iOVERLANDER for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We use Google Maps to get where we're going. We use Copilot, which has all of our maps downloaded for all of Alaska and Canada, because there's a lot of places we don't have coverage. So I think that answers that. More specifically, someone asked, what is the milepost? You've used it the most. What is the milepost?
It just gives you, like, I use it mostly on the Alaska Highway, and it just gives you information about, I guess, each mile that's on the Alaska Highway, what services are available, where you can see wildlife. I mean, and you know, it's amazing. Our milepost was like last year's, because we thought we were going to come last year. I mean, and it told us where we could look for sheep, and we actually saw sheep there. And it's
where
like,
it said to look for it.
Yeah,
So look
where
at
it
this
said,
spot and
you know,
you'll see sheep.
Yeah, you know, it's.
And I said, no, we won't. And then sure enough,
there were bighorn sheep there.
Yeah.
So
So many years ago, before these things were invented, and before we had any cell phone coverage, and before even GPS, the mileposts played a really important role, because that road started out being a military road and then a road for commerce. And when people started traveling over it, they needed to know where the closest garage was, where the closest gas station was. And back then they didn't call them gas stations, they called them service stations, because you could pull in and get your oil changed and all that. But you had to know on a milepost basis where those things were. And if you braved coming up here, that was that information was really important. And so,
we use the paper map a lot too. We picked the paper map up at one of the visitor centers, and we've used it quite a bit.
Alaska's a big place. I mean, you can say that and say, well, you know, everything's a big place. But no, Alaska is a huge. You think Texas is big, it's just a small portion of what Alaska is. We saw a t-shirt last night in Valdez that says, does size matter? And it had a picture of Texas and a big picture of Alaska, and say, ask Texas. How do you pay attention when you're driving, since there's so much scenery? Let me preface part of it by saying most of the time she's the person that's responsible for looking for the wildlife. And like today on the MCCARTHY Highway, she spotted a moose.
Yeah, but that's like been the first time that I've seen it before.
I was trying to give you credit.
I know, I appreciate that, but you're the eagle eye of the family.
I am. The reason I think mostly that I am is I've ridden a motorcycle a bunch, and any of you that have ridden motorcycles know that you develop a real keen sense of having peripheral vision, and you're always looking to your right and to your left to make sure nothing's coming into that, and that just doesn't go away when you're traveling. So I've seen things like eagles sitting on the side of the road, maybe 30-40 yards off the road, just because my peripheral vision will see the movement and it catches my eye. We always pull over and find a safe place to stop, and we've only gotten one time we've had somebody blow the horn at us for not getting far enough off. So.
And we always turn our signal on, or our emergency flashers on.
But there's so much beauty in wildlife. There have been times as we've ridden that we just had to just pull over. I mean, even if we didn't see wildlife, we've had to just pull over because I just don't feel like I can concentrate on driving.
Yeah.
So.
It's the best thing to do.
So dash cams. People keep asking us what we use for a dash cam. We really don't have a dash cam. We have a DJI Osmo Pocket, and we have a little mount that we can put that in. And so, like, we've done a review of that already, but most of the footage that you see when we're rolling down the highway is from the dash cam, especially if it's pointed forward. If it's pointed out the side, it's probably our Sony A6400 camera that we're filming this on right now. But that's how we do that. Rooftop storage. What model is it, and how in the world did you get it up there? We have a video about that, but we'll say that right now it's pointed in the right direction. It increased our gas mileage when we pointed in the right direction by 3 miles per gallon. And it is a THULE XL. And we moved the rail in the very front that we were not using, so that between the air conditioner and the back rail, we have 3 rails there, and the THULE sits on that. And we moved the solar that was in the very back over the air conditioner. And I know that caused a lot of people to say, gosh, that's going to blow off, or it's going to cut your gas mileage. It may cut it 0.5 mile per gallon, but it's working perfectly. Now, the bigger question is, do we need the THULE?
I don't know. We haven't really used it on this trip, so we brought a lot of extra stuff, and
some of it's safety stuff,
some
like
of it's safety stuff,
a tow cable in case we get stuck somewhere. Tools that we may need. Bigger jacks just in case we need to do that. Shovel in case we need to dig out if we get stuck.
We brought our room, but I think we've only put it up once. But one thing I will say that, you know, when you think about what you're going to bring, is I kind of wish we'd have brought our bicycles, because there's been numerous bicycle trails everywhere we go.
Everywhere. We spent 3 nights in Valdez, and I wish we'd stayed there more. I think, as far as I'm concerned, Lynn and I can move to Valdez, Alaska, and if I could survive the winter, I would be, you could just bury me a happy man. That was, I just sat there today and got teary-eyed looking out over the rail as we were saying goodbye to that little city. It was precious. But there's a bicycle trail that goes all the way out to the KOA, which is 10 miles outside of town, all the way to the center of the city, and you could ride on that thing forever. And you know, we thought, well, we're going to Alaska, we're not going to need bikes. We probably should have brought them.
We should have brought them, but we've got a spare tire instead. But that's okay. That's okay. But I mean, it's just one of those things that you got to decide what's the most important.
Safety to us, especially to me. You know, I'm Papa Bear. I'm supposed to keep my 2 pack mates happy and safe, and she keeps us happy and fed, and Maggie just keeps us happy. But safety comes first. An extra tire trumps bicycles for us. We could have rented bikes, but an extra tire does. Let's see.
So do we need the THULE? Did we finish that?
Do we need the THULE? I don't think I think, yeah, because we brought things for safety reasons. We brought the tow strap, we brought a bigger jack that we might need, we brought all the tools that we may possibly need, and we couldn't have gotten those inside.
And thank goodness we haven't, knock on wood, we haven't needed them.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yes.
So if you can bring something big like that, maybe that would be a great thing. Let's see, we need to hurry up. This is going to be really long. Yeah. It's light all the time. Well, yeah, it is. It's 7 o'clock right now. The sun will go down tonight at 10:54, and it'll stay down for maybe 3 hours tonight, and then it'll be light again. It never really gets what we would call in North Carolina dark. It gets dusk. But we've become accustomed to it. We've created dark places in the van, and we've kind of gotten used to it.
Yeah, the blinds work really well. We have put a curtain up from the front, which has helped a lot, because the shades in the front don't totally cover the windows, so that's helped a lot. And we got a little cover for the vent that we can kind of leave it down, but it actually covers it. So
you have to make some changes to your lifestyle and your habits, and you have to force yourself to go to sleep, but you can do it. It doesn't keep you from doing that. I think it's a good thing is if you get tired, you can go to bed anytime, because you don't have to wait on it to get dark, because it's freaking not going to get dark, so you might as well go to bed. There have been nights when I've done that. Okay. The roads, how have the roads been? I'll answer that. From a safety perspective, I think they've been fine. We've had friends that we've made along the way that have blown 2 tires. Our friends Jim and Cynthia from Wings and Wheels Alaska, they blew 1 tire when they were on the Dempster.
But you know, you kind of got to look at it too. If you travel those roads, and if you're wanting to travel to the Dempster or to the Dalton or even McCarthy, you need to be aware that those roads are really bad, and you need to take extra precaution, because you know you can have a flat tire.
Like the couples, the one car we just talked about that blew 2 tires, they blew around us going 45 miles an hour on the McCarthy Road and McCarthy Highway. And I'm not saying that's why that happened, but our friends that have been with us while we traveled here in Alaska know that I'm just an old grandpa. You know, if I need to go 15 to feel safe, I'll go 15. You know, I might be averaging 20 to 25. I know they had to be doing 50 at places. And when you hit a big pothole going 50, the damage is a lot worse than if you hit it going 20 to 15. And so we kind of have to minimize that. I would tell her the McCarthy Highway is the washboard capital of the world. There's not a lot of potholes, but geez, there are washboards in here that you could put I don't even know. You could put a set of golf clubs in and drive over them. I mean, they're just really bad. Going up the Dalton, there are places where the asphalt would come back on again, and you go off of dirt onto asphalt, and that jagged surface right there, that's been bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, and the major potholes, you just know it's there.
But the major highways, you know, it's not been a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Alaska, DOT doesn't mind making you sit for 30 minutes while they work on a road. And you can do that. We did that twice today coming back from Valdez. But you're just thankful they're out there working on the roads. And, you know, they only have 4 months of daylight, 5 at the most. And so they're going to get out there and work all the time. And they're out there doing that. Roads have been well marked, and we've been really pleased with how the van's done on the roads. Mosquitoes. How are the mosquitoes in Alaska? Well, there's a joke that they are the state bird. I'm not sure that's true, but we've seen some freaking big mosquitoes. For sure. We've seen some really large mosquitoes, and I've taken some video of them. We've had places when we were on the Alaska Highway that were bad, and we've had a few places at Dawson City in the little campground, the last campground we stayed at. They were bad there. It seems like it's around water, but we're around water right now and there's no mosquitoes. And it depends on if the wind is blowing. It depends on how long it's been since it's rained. There are a lot of factors. We kind of think like the further north you get, the worse the mosquitoes are. And the closer you get to the caribou herds, the worse the mosquitoes are. So we were lucky to see muskoxen up there when we were traveling up to the Dalton. And those poor animals have just thousands of mosquitoes around each one of them, and you'll see that when we finally release that video. And there was one time when we were on that trip that Lynn got out and she came running back. She was going to let Maggie go use the bathroom, and she came running back doing this because she couldn't keep the mosquitoes off of her and she couldn't stay out there. In Dead Horse, I had to put a mosquito net around my head in order to pump gas because I couldn't stand out there. I had my hands in my pocket and I had every body part covered, but they were eating me alive, so I came back inside and got the mosquito net. But other than that, I would say I'll let another car pass by. So that car had to be doing 50 miles an hour on the McCarthy. Okay, I know. So maybe 4 days that we've had issues with mosquitoes.
Yeah, so it's not been that bad, but it's
out
been,
of almost 2 months.
Yeah, but it's we've had a warmer than normal year this year. It's not rained that much. I thought it was like going to be cold and raining the whole time. I mean, it's been really warm and really nice, and no rain. Cell
phone coverage. Definitely AT&T is the big gorilla in Alaska and along the Alaska Highway. Definitely. There's just no doubt about it. We have extended LTE right here, but we don't have any Verizon, and we have Verizon on our phone. And so extended LTE, it must be really throttled because it's barely usable anywhere we have it. But we've had some kind of coverage almost the entire time, as long as we've been on the triangle corridor of heading down towards Seward or heading to Valdez or being in Fairbanks or Anchorage. We've had what we would consider decent coverage for North Carolina. You know, it's not the greatest.
North Carolina.
Well, like in North Carolina, if we're riding around from town to town, we have coverage from town to town, and they do here. Yeah. But when you go out on the Dalton, there are hundreds of miles that you're going to not have any coverage at all, AT&T or anything. When you're on the Dempster, it's the same way. And on the McCarthy, what we've seen on the McCarthy Highway, I'm not sure what that is.
It's a bird of some kind.
I'm glad. Okay, so on the McCarthy Highway, we've been surprised that we've seen coverage almost the entire way. It's 62 miles from the beginning of the dirt road until you get to the little town of McCarthy. But we've had coverage, and so it's been okay. Lots of questions about how we get our music for our videos and our video editing and other things. And I think to keep this short, we're going to cut that off and say we'll answer that in another video. So we made it through this.
Yeah. Sorry for all the
jibber jabber.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope it's been helpful. If it has, let us know in the comments that you're okay with us doing this. I know a lot of YouTubers do it, and we don't really consider ourselves to be YouTubers. We're just two old people that are traveling in a van up in Alaska, and we're sharing our videos with our friends and family, and some of you have become friends and family as we've done that.
You know, I'll have to say too, we've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and you know, that's how we've learned about what we want to do and how we want to travel. So, I mean, you know, that information is, you know, valuable. So
it is. Hopefully it's helpful.
Yeah.
I know we haven't covered all the questions. If we missed your question, put a comment here and ask us to cover the topic, and we'll try to do this again after another couple weeks. And that's awesome, man.
We'll have to figure out what that is.
Yeah. So, but we'll try to cover that. If this is your first time here, we hope you'll consider subscribing. If you're the one person that said we're like every other YouTuber and you've already left us, hey, it was good to have you for that one video. But we really love and appreciate all the folks that are so connected to us through this. You know, we didn't start doing this for you guys. We started doing it for us so that YouTube and Google would store our home movies for us and our grandchildren could watch our adventures. And so many of you have grown to be so close to us through these videos. And
we love all the comments. They, you know, they really touch our hearts a lot of times.
They keep us motivated to keep going.
They really do.
And to keep showing you more and more and more of where we go. The one thing that we've said about this trip is we're really not certain how we're going to top it.
I know.
This is
going to be hard.
Many people say trip of a lifetime. Taking a van and traveling around in the backcountry of Alaska has to be the trip of a lifetime. You know, when you're sitting here with your head on a swivel hoping a bear doesn't walk up. And I have, where's the bear spray?
Right here.
Oh.
He's got his bear spray.
And I have bear spray out just in case we need it. And we're happy there. Maggie's like, she's real happy. So thanks for being part of this. I know we say that and everybody says that, but thanks for being part of it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please let us know the things you want us to cover in a future one. And I'll pick the camera up now and just kind of swing it around and show you what's possible with this small little Travato van, where you can park it and what you can see. And I hope, like us, you'll just look at it and say, wow. Keep in mind where we are tonight cost us $0, and we spent nothing to do this, and our solar and everything else is making this possible. I know we're grinning a lot, but we're just so happy to be out here.
We feel very blessed.
We're so happy that you're part of it. And until we see you again, we hope our paths cross somewhere and we park our Travato either in your driveway or right beside of you at a campsite somewhere soon. Until then, stay safe, stay connected to us, and we will show you where we're parked right now. All right, I'm not even going to cut the video off. I'm just going to show you.
Okay. Yeah, hot water.
Oh yeah, we need it now. We need to take a shower. So, wow, this is heavy. So here we are. I'm going to walk back here to the very front of the site. So this is the MCCARTHY Highway. And here's a little bucket the fire department, the Strelna Volunteer Fire Department, puts out to make sure that your fire, or you can't fire, is completely out. Here's the mountain range in the country's largest national park. And this is the MCCARTHY Highway. And you can see it's just a dirt road. People come by here. And we found this little spot on iOVERLANDER. We pulled our Travato down here and backed it up. Hey, sweetie. And this is home for tonight. But there have been nights when we found places like this that we've said, this is home for a couple of days. Yeah. But this is home. There's a little fire ring here. You guys recognize that pup dog there. She's a happy pup dog. We have our chairs out. And this is the view of the mountain range across the lake. It is phenomenal. We'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching and for subscribing. Maggie says happy tales. Be sure to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on the web, Van Trading Lifestyle. Thanks for being part of the